We are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We've got Crusty Old Guy here from where are you now? What state are you in?
I am in Utah. We are at Zion National Park. It is gorgeous. We just finished a big hike up some mountain or whatever. I'm going to be very sore tomorrow.
Excellent, excellent. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a game this season, one of the many that are in March upcoming, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. And if you hear somebody yelling at you to move, it's probably me or Krusty or Mitch behind us. If you are going to a game this season and do not want the overpriced food at the United Center, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. Great food. Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's only a 2-block walk from the United Center, and it's quite great. Let's get into it. Krusty, the Four Nations is done. All the hype still continues because we have the Tkachuk brothers doing a media tour while they're both on injured reserve for their respective teams. And we have NHL hockey once again.
Yeah. The media tour thing is a little interesting. Not that much from Matthew's point of view, but if you're an Ottawa Senator fan and you're struggling to make the playoffs, and this guy's bouncing around on American TV doing a tour,
Your captain.
That's a problem. Yes. I don't know what kind of media tour this is. I don't know if he's leaving the team. Is this more of just by Zoom and stuff? Because I don't care if he's injured or not. You darn well better be traveling with the team.
Right.
You're in that leadership position. Basically Johnny, when he only played like half the season in his last year, he was still with the team the whole year. So that sends a real bad thing. Again, however we can grow the game, I am all for it. People have been screaming for people to be personalities. Now come along the Tkachuk brothers, who are a personality, and then you have some pushback. So, I'm glad that they're doing it. I wish it wasn't during the season. Again, I can understand what Matthew's doing. As far as Brady, I'm hoping it's all, for the most part, through Zoom. So.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I definitely agree that we've been wanting people to do personalities. I think just with the how outspoken they've been politically is definitely a big aspect on the pushback. Also, with both of them being injured, it's a little funky that they're on this media tour now. I definitely agree that hockey always needs some more personality, but if I have to watch brothers on media, I'd certainly much rather watch Jack and Quinn Hughes over the Tkachuk brothers. But that's just me. That's just a general preference of Jack and Quinn over Matthew and Brady.
Yeah, again, but everybody's got different opinions and everything. So again, I don't have that big of a problem with it. As I said, on the Brady side, it's just you're finally attempting to make a push. I believe they were down 2-0 tonight. Let's take a quick check and see where the score's at now. But you need your captain there. It's 3-1 that they're losing, which kind of stinks because
Also, I found it very interesting that he referred to the whole Quinn Hughes situation with Four Nations as shady business, but you going on a media tour while your team's trying to make a playoff push and you're on injured reserve, that's a little shady business. The pot's calling the kettle black, my dude.
Yes, and again, we're talking about we want personalities. I mean, I'm not expecting any brains from Brady Tkachuk.
No.
In no point would I be taking any of his advice except for the fact on hockey. Anything else, if you're listening and believe, that's all on you. Shady business. There is no shady business. Where the shady business is, Ottawa is pushing for a playoff spot, and because of some tourney, one of their best players isn't playing now, and they've already got other players hurt. So, and if you consider it that shady, so you're saying you're upset that your teammate was on the team with you? That's what I just heard. You're saying your top defenseman, you're mad that he got to play. Is that your message to Sanderson? Is that what you want, Brady? You know, nobody thought of that one, did they?
No, I didn't even think of that one.
Yeah. So he's actually, knocking his teammate, which is another thing not good to be doing. Again, their personalities doesn't mean I agree with their personalities, but there's been a lot of people in hockey wanting this kind of silliness. Look at the Kelsey brothers, this or that. Again, it's to get people talking one way or another on a certain subject. That's kind of all it is. I mean, if people are taking their life lessons from those two, hey, more power to you. Okay.
Yep. Other in the NHL world, the Ovechkin countdown continues now that we're back to our regular season games. And the Washington Capitals are taking it very seriously, and I think are a little butthurt on the fact that they did not have a player in the Four Nations, because I believe they scored like 13 goals in the first 24 hours with the NHL being back. And Ovechkin has 12 more to go. Some will say that he will continue at this pace. Some will say that he will slow down, similar to when Gretzky slowed down when he was getting close to beating Gordie Howe's record. I hope he speeds it the fuck up, because you're getting way too close into Chicago Blackhawks playing the Washington Capitals territory. I do not want to be the team that lets that in.
Well, we're already the team that gave him a hat trick for one of his last little go-rounds. So, yeah, as far as the grade 8, they've been it's been weird. I believe they had a 5-minute power play, and he played all 5 minutes. They're making the push for this. If there's an empty net, the grade 8 is out there. It's great for hockey.
It's fantastic.
I don't think
I'm loving it, and it's just selfish that I don't want it to happen to my team.
Yeah. As far as Washington being butthurt, whatever. Everybody needs to. I mean, in another 3 weeks, you will have forgotten about the Four Nations, and you will only be concerned about people that are still in the hunt. And they're in the hunt. This takes up a lot of their press stuff. Some people will say, it's kind of it gets them to think not in a hockey way. And I'm like, well, okay, but they're still winning all the time. Obviously, they're still doing plenty of things right.
They're pretty dialed in.
I will still go by the whole thing of, I think come playoff time, they're out in the first, but I'm glad he's making it. It was a record that nobody thought would ever be broken. And he's still playing like a darn good player. His 5-on-5 game is there. Probably better than anybody on the Hawks. So
definitely better than anybody on the Hawks.
But it's good. It's good for hockey. It'll be a great chase. Gretzky's the great 99 is a good dude. So this will be a nice little passing of the torch. And so I'm glad. the records are meant to be broken now, and can't wait till Austin Matthews breaks Ovechkin's.
Okay,
That's
that's
right.
not happening.
Oh, that's happening.
That's not happening.
Oh, that's happening.
And then Connor will break his.
No. But either way, all good, all good.
All right. Got anything else in the NHL scope?
No, I've been NHL'd out a little bit, so I'll have more in the following weeks when I get grounded and I'm not so many different places at once.
Get your life in order.
Well, my life will never be in order again. I love the chaos. I get to live the chaos.
All right. Let's get into our prospect report. Guys, I went to go see some prospects this weekend. I went to Minnesota and it was fantastic. Not only is everyone just like so nice there at the U, everybody was lovely. There was miracle stuff everywhere. I was also there on the miracle anniversary, which was so cool. It was just for a very hockey person to be in a very high intensity hockey environment. It was very fun. Had a moment where we walked in, there were a couple of kids watching Sam Rinzel on the screen, saying, "That's my guy, that's my guy." So it was very cool to be there. Rinzel had 2 assists this weekend and then Moore with a pair of 2 goals. I definitely am more confident in their performances after seeing them in person. I'll be the first to admit I was definitely unsure, especially with the slump-ish that Moore is having this sophomore season, and that for Sam Rinzel, genuinely, that defensemen take longer to develop than forwards. I don't want to talk a super ton about it. We'll talk about it, but we do have an article coming out Friday morning of more in-depth thoughts and predictions about Moore and Rinzel. The game, watching them, has left me very optimistic with their development. Rinzel in particular, oh my God, I felt so bad for my friend that I went with because I kept hitting her the entire time, being like, he could run the power play tomorrow. He could run the power play tomorrow. I really wouldn't be surprised, though, with the 2 power play units in Rockford next year if it's run by Rinzel and Artie and Kevin is the odd man out. Because just as a reminder, guys, Rinzel and Kevin were both drafted in the same year. They both went in the first round in 2022. And hot take, maybe, who knows? I think Rinzel is at a better position right now than Core is with his performance.
I haven't seen much of Sam, so I know I've been getting good reports. And again, like I always tell you, it's a college game. It's a college game.
It is a college game, but as someone who saw him, because I saw him his first couple of weeks into his freshman year, and now more towards the end of his sophomore year, the jump the kid's made in a year is insane. Especially with his offensive game. He's definitely just exudes confidence. Defensively, I don't want to say that he's not skilled defensively. I think it's just a lack of confidence, or maybe just the fact that we saw him play Ohio State, and Ohio State never dies in a game. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, it's early in the career, but everything that you're saying, it's all good news.
Yeah.
He's not regressing. He's becoming better. Does he make Core obsolete? I don't know. Everything in our little world right now points that way because of Artie's progression. That you go, where does that leave Korchinski, especially if Korchinski doesn't get his act completely together defensively? It's a good problem to have. So again, Core is still just a baby also. So we'll see. I mean, I like Sam's game. And he's got that good zone entry. He's almost like a Campbell, where if he isn't hassled at the beginning, it's okay. And that's where the line comes in the AHL and the NHL, is just that forecheck gets on you so quickly. How do you deal with that? And we'll see. Again, he's got a big body to help with that. So
that too, and it's resembling how he uses the size is very much resembling Vlasic in the sense where he's not using it from like an aggressive standpoint, but just his reach and ability to cover so much ice so quickly.
yes, which is all good. It's an important part of the game. It's where defensemen are. Again, you will only have two defensemen that are probably below 6'2", and they better be able to do everything really well. It's just the way the game is. That, as you pointed out, that reach that's something that can cover up flaws too. You don't need that quick of a first step if your reach is 7 feet. So,
and then for more, I do think that he's going through a little bit of a slump. However, I think his potential position is just a little bit different than anticipated. I do think that he will start off in Rockford as a centerman, and I think he's confident as a centerman. He's gotten a bit more aggressive in terms of like cherry picking and getting the puck from other people, but he definitely struggles to hold on to it in difficult situations. But his vision, he has no problem flipping it to somebody and somebody else puts the puck in the net. I honestly think he would be a great line mate with Lourdes.
well, Lourdes just needs somebody to set him up. So,
and that's what more seems his significant strength is seeing the ice and kind of setting everybody else up. I think that's why we're seeing him have a slump in terms of point production, because I think he's just filling into a different role than expected.
yeah, very well could be. Again, it's hard to gauge in the complete college world. I mean, especially, your article will drop, which will be really nice. And there's a lot of people writing stuff who really haven't seen him play. But, you open it up, you see the stats and go, oh, not enough. It's hard to tell. And we don't even watch the U completely.
No.
But, there's situations. If you're stuck in a one-goal situation, you're not looking to score another one. You're looking to shut things down compared to somebody else on a team where they're just loading up goals. So, again, we shouldn't get too crazy about the lack of production. Don't get too crazy about the production. It's a long process. More will be a key addition, because we need speed. We know speed's coming, but we need vision. And so that'll be welcome.
Yeah, definitely welcome. All right. Some of our other prospect report. Like I said, 2 assists for Rinzel, 2 goals for Moore, 3 goals for Sasha Boisvert. And all of the highlight clips shows that Adam Guyon was in net for one of them. He was in net for one of them, but also the first goaltender was pulled during University of North Dakota versus University of Minnesota Duluth, and then Guyon went in. Guyon really didn't let up a ton. It was the goaltender before. Just want to clear up the rumors, because there were a lot of videos circulating making it seem like Guyon had a really bad night. He didn't. You got 2 assists from Dominic James, who our friend Ben wrote a great article that it's looking that Dominic James from the University of Minnesota Duluth is going to be coming at the end of this year. For those who don't know about Dominic James, currently in his senior year at University of Minnesota Duluth, he is a centerman / winger, typically playing winger position right now. Was drafted late in the 6th round in 2022. As of right now, he's got about 25 points in 29 games, which I really don't think is all that bad with how bad University of Minnesota Duluth is doing this year. He was out. The big thing is he was out all of last year with a dislocated shoulder, and there was some significant torn cartilage as well. So he was out missing the majority of his junior year. I imagine this is similar to where we were this time last year when we with Landon Slaggert, but it seems like once Minnesota Duluth season is done, Dominic James will make the jump over, and I'm 99% sure he makes the jump to Rockford. Whether he plays at the end of this year with Rockford or kind of just gets sent up to the press box to go watch, we don't know yet.
Yeah, and he's another one. It's tough to figure out just because he's playing against people that are basically 2 years younger than him. It does make a difference. So again, I believe
It does make a difference, but at the same time, I'd rather watch him than Zach Sanford on Rockford.
Oh, as far as that, yes, and I think you'll finally get the complete mix of most of the young kids there. But I'm just saying, it's just you'll get inflated numbers just because of the age factor. You're more mature physically than most of the people you're playing against. So nothing to go crazy about, but all of these guys we're talking about, we just got to hit like on 25% and things get a lot better. So, and Dominic James has some size, if I'm not mistaken, or no? Yeah. So again, I'm a firm believer you don't have to be the most skilled. You need a big body in your top six, and he's only got to do a couple things.
Right.
And when he's got the open net, he's just got to put it in. But you got to do some of the grunt work. And look at Brian Bickle, look at Troy Brower. There's work for those guys. They're not the most skilled players. They're not going to light you up offensively, but they fill a need on the line. So
next, we've got Aiden Thompson out of University of Denver, another one that I assume makes the jump at the end of this year with 1 goal and 3 assists for the weekend. Connor Kelly and John Mustard, both out of Providence College with 1 assist. Jack Pridham, you have 3 goals. One of them was a Michigan, and 1 assist for Kitchener Rangers. Alex Ferrand out of Sudbury Wolves with 2 assists. 1 goal for Merrick Vanaker out of Brantford Bulldogs. And we're just going to wait and wait for Crusty to come back so I can drop the stats for his favorite guy. I think you guys know which one I'm going to talk about, but we're just waiting. We're just waiting because I don't want to say it just yet. We're waiting for Crusty.
Krusty's back. He thinks he's got to plug in his laptop.
All right, Krusty's back, so I can announce that Nick Lardis had 6 goals and 1 assist this weekend, matching hat tricks.
Again, everybody's now on the Lardass train. I'm sure there's people even there calling him Lardass now because of this show. Unfortunately, with the Lardass train is going to come we expect a lot out of the Lardass. So hopefully he's able to deliver just a percentage of what this starved fan base is looking for. Because we don't have a lot of people that can put it in the net, and they're going to be clamoring for him. So hopefully he continues at the next level.
Oh, definitely.
But you know me, I love me some Lardass.
And another prospect that we don't know a ton about, but there were rumors and rumblings this past weekend that he will not be signing another contract with the KHL, and there's rumors of him making the jump over, and that is Ilya Safonov. Currently playing in the KHL. He's about 23 years old. He's a 6'4" centerman. Was drafted in the 6th round in 2021, so he is a stand pick. Currently 18 points in 41 games at the moment. He is unsigned, but for some reason, and I don't know this, but Crusty explains this to me every time, KHL players don't have an expiration date like other players do in terms of when we sign them.
They do not. It's really, really far away. So, I mean, he's their property. If he plans to
But
come to America, he's going to need to go through them. That's just the way it is because he got drafted. So
there's rumors and rumblings. It's not confirmed by his agent yet. However, the rumors and rumblings are very heavy. It's definitely exciting because who wouldn't be excited of the potential of a 6'4" center?
yeah, and again, we need as many people as possible on board because there's going to be a thinning of this herd. And the more we can have, as we just talked about, we just got to hit on a couple of them. So that would be welcome news. And that way he's here for a year before the other guy comes. So that would be perfect.
Yeah. That's all I have on prospects this weekend. Crusty, do you have anything?
Crusty has completely nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, Krusty's hoping he doesn't get fired. That's about where Krusty's at right now.
Well, I might get fired because Rockford played this weekend, but Rockford lost all weekend, and I was in Minnesota watching prospects and have no reports whatsoever on Rockford. So we have nothing this week.
Wow. And I didn't watch any Rockford, and they were on a 4-game winning streak. So
you know what happened though? You know what happened? And the reason they're on a 4-game or they were on a 4-game winning streak and now they're losing?
why?
They took Savvy off the first line. He's back on the third, and that's the problem. Biggest news out of this week is Artyom Levshina was suspended for 1 game for cross-checking a Wolves player that went down just like Jeff Skinner does in the NHL, friends.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that hit. Again, you give him the game, you move on. Since you have no Rockford report, I guess I will segue then into the Rockford through our Blackhawk team and with his with the bipolar fan base that we have right now, because we're hoping things go well, and if somebody has a good game, we figure their top 6 complete material, and then if they have 2 bad games and shoot the puck constantly into the goaltender's crust, we think maybe they need to go back to Rockford. Thus your NASCAR. I'm still wondering what the plan is for Rockford.
I don't think he has a plan.
Right. But as the SS Blackhawk continues to take on a unbelievable amount of water, do we maybe put these kids on the lifeboat and just send them down their way? We have now reached almost toxic environment area. Do we just get them away from this? That's my wonder. Do you go back? Do you load up Rockford and say, okay, this is your place for the rest of the year? We'd like you to go 2 or 3 rounds. Unfortunately, as we've talked about on this show to death, there isn't a plan. There is just reactions. We had a terrible start, so all of a sudden KD reacted and started bringing players up. Now that the players are up, they're playing a little bit. Now there's some struggles. Now what are we going to do? I'm still back to the point where if this continues, the amount of games that we're playing 4 games a week, which is unheard of in the NHL. You're not going to be able to come up for breath. This situation is probably going to continue to get unbelievably ugly. I am now back on board for putting them in the lifeboat and sending them back to Rockford. That's Nolan Allen. That's Ethan DeMastro. That's Frank Nazar. And that's Colton Dock. Send the whole group back. Okay, if I have to, I'll elevate Zach Sanford if I need a spot filled. Okay, he can come deal with this. I believe we are getting to that point. I hate talking like this, but this is a nightmare. It's a nightmare to have so that's my segue to the Rockford stuff is I'd like to see them all just go back to Rockford. We have veterans that we can bring up. Let them play together a little bit more and let them get away from this stuff. Again, Rockford made a good string, especially with Camasso being out. So
That's one thing that I mean, there's few positive things out of this Rockford season, but Mitch Weeks has played far better than anyone's expected.
yes,
He was
and
not expected to play this much at the AHL level. I mean, come October, we thought it was going to be blooming Camasso.
right. And the other problem is on the other end where you haven't said Camasso's the guy. You're still going, we're unsure. I don't know. I was hoping I'd get some more signs of, yeah, I haven't seen him take over a lot of complete games. So, again, you look at the grand scheme, we're still in the need for a goaltender. So, could it be Weeks? I don't know. Goaltenders are weird, man. Just all of a sudden they're able to turn it on and figure some stuff out. So that's my little segue from Rockford. If you want to then get to that team. What? Do you have a question?
No, I'd like to address the haters that we got this week.
We got haters?
We got haters, which I'm just like so honored that people would think of us.
How does anybody hate me?
Because we are of the 10% that defend Seth Jones, which
always
so
for
happy
myself.
to like not be like other girls. For those who are in the Seth Jones hating, and I know we talk about this to death, but now that my favorite guy is getting more and more messy in front of the media, I'm all for it. Let's go. If you think he's really that much of a piece of shit, why do you then we're not getting anything for him? The excuse of we have to trade him to get draft capital does not make sense with the statement of he sucks, he's awful. Newsflash, if a guy sucks, you don't get a ton for him. You get future considerations or low draft picks. Look at the Patrick Kane trade. I know it wasn't that too many years ago. Also, can we put the whole salary cap thing to bed? We're fighting to hit the floor, especially now that the floor is getting up more and more in the next couple of years. We have the ability to go pay Miko Rantanen and Mitch Marner ungodly amount of money and come free agency. We have money to pay Seth Jones. We have money to pay a guy who's eating up 20 minutes a game where we don't have another defenseman that can do that right now. And as much as I do love Alex Vlasic, we do not have another defenseman who can fit into that role right now. So until somebody else develops, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. You've got a lot of people that it's a quick, oh my God, he's the reason, which automatically, yes.
But also his videos, I'm loving it. I'm thoroughly enjoying like the statement that he made after the Utah game. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I know everybody's kind of hating it. Where was this leadership? Come in October, why are you saying this now? Guys, we don't have secret recordings in the locker rooms or in meetings. We don't know what he was saying in October. Granted, he could be silent now. He's just being outspoken now, but we don't know if he's outspoken the whole time. And also, this man was signed to an obscene contract in the beginning of a shit show. And he has been on lifeboat after lifeboat of shitty teams. He has all the right in the world to be pissed.
All right. So before we get to the Blackhawks, I guess we're going to deal with this whole thing.
We are going to deal with it.
All right. Then first off, listen, Seth had a struggle when he came back from his injury. And this was about the same time that the Blackhawks leaked that teams were calling. Okay? Blackhawks had two choices. Let this continue, and all of a sudden you had unbelievable Seth Jones hate. KD decided to let that fester. He didn't come out and say, listen, this guy signed for 5 years. He's on our team. It's the way it is. He's not going anywhere. He decided to let this play out. It didn't play out the way he wanted to because Seth said, I've had enough and I don't want to be on this team. This team has no direction, no management leadership, and no coaching. Why would I want to play here? That's all Seth did. Seth was like, if nobody's going to have my back here, why would I want to play here? At the end of the day, you really don't want me here. And let's face the facts. That's the sign that Kyle Davidson is sending. And it's not just him. Listen to Kyle Davidson talk. Listen to him talk after he had his little hissy fit. And yes, I will say hissy fit. Even I don't know. We've done this before, and I don't know what hissy means. But yet there's a thing called a hissy fit. He threw his hissy fit. And what did he do in his hissy fit? He never at one point talked about the Blackhawks as a team. He separated old people and don't worry, prospects are coming. No team talk whatsoever. So you now are shocked that you have a group that doesn't play like a team, doesn't act like a team. That's induced from the top. Okay, so Seth decided he was going to have enough with this. And all he said was, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 5 years. I know this is very difficult to move my contract. Hey, whatever happens, happens. I'm a pro. I'll play like a pro. Okay?
Well, then there was the comment after the Utah game, too.
I saw his reaction twice during the Utah game, which I was there, where all of a sudden, yes, as he's talking about, people are trying to skate through 4 different people, and while they're trying to do it, they're skating in the direction of the only other person on the offensive ice. Yes, I saw Seth twice. Just look at what the fuck is going on here. That's what happens when you have no coaching. This is what we've talked about, it being a wasted year. There's no scheme on what these guys are supposed to do. They've been told, go out there. So Seth Jones, after they were outshot, this is just actual shots, 93-32. Utah attempted 93 shots. Okay, and how they couldn't put them in the net is beyond me. I had my woman next to me, and she flat out stated it was the most boring hockey game she's ever witnessed. And she's been to a lot of bad hockey. She was there for the dark times. Maybe we weren't paying that much attention. So what did Seth say? He said, we have not improved from day one. Now, my question is, anybody who watched that Utah game, do you agree with Seth Jones or do you disagree? Okay, now I've been told by everybody, they all agree with him. He should have spoke up sooner. I go, yes. And you know what? If Seth Jones speaks up 2 months earlier, you say, why are you trashing all these young kids? You don't care what he says. You don't care when he says it. This is about hating on him. Nothing more, nothing less. You wait for him to do something and then hate whatever he does. That's silly. He's the best defenseman on your team. He's your second best player. Okay? That management is treated like shit the last 2 years. And they've watched him drown and never had his back. And if you don't think Connor Bedard doesn't see that, you're crazy. Okay? That's what he sees. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ. What the hell's going on here? You don't think Connor Bedard wants to be coached? Of course he does. He doesn't like going through this crap either. So for those, yes?
I was going to segue to our next. Speaking of coaching, Anders Sorensen seems to have a giant bone to pick with the other favorite Chicago scapegoat. That is your Lucas Reichel. To be fair, I did not watch the game. Everybody that I listened to said that he didn't play that bad of a game. The comments that Sorensen is making to the media is my biggest issue of just, I didn't like his game. Those conversations between me and him. You're an NHL coach. It's not between the two of you. It's not. And you don't think that whole dynamic also is adding toxicity into the locker room? It's not just Seth. You've got 500 different effed up dynamics in that room.
Yeah. It's from top to bottom. It's completely unbelievable. Again, what are you planning to do with Lucas Reichel? You didn't like his game. Okay. You sat him for the third period. You sat him since midway in the second. Message received. You said you talked to him about his game. Well, could you give him an opportunity to then go out and see if he's able to do the things that you're saying? No, you're going to put him on the bench for a while. You've already done the same thing to Kurashev. And yet you've got veterans like, I'm not going to go through a Foligno tirade, but for anybody who has a problem that Seth Jones still has an A on his jersey, and you're happy with the effort the guy who's got the C is producing, I will again say we're watching two completely different ball games. Or you're not watching, you're reading the box score, and you're figuring out what the other guy says, and you're just going, harumph, harumph. That's a Blazing Saddles quote, which nobody will get, but again, at the end of the day, I hate saying this, it is a completely wasted year. It's a wasted year of development. That's why I am now all on board for sounding the alarm and getting these kids out of here. Now, the one thing I will noticed about the other media that's around, other podcasts, usually after about 2 weeks of these shows, they all jump on our bandwagon. I've been noticing that most of the year. So expect that to start coming up in another week or two. So we know who you are. We know where you're getting your information from. We're okay with it. We're givers. As I've mentioned before, I'm a giver.
That's such a lie. We talked about that today.
No, don't listen to my woman. She knows I'm a giver too.
All right.
I give so much until it hurts, and then I give a little bit more.
We talked about it.
Okay.
Let's see. What else are we talking about? Seth Jones. We can segue to the game if you want.
You want to talk
games
about
at the United Center that were complete garbage.
Yeah.
And then they went on the road.
And it was garbage.
Figured Crusty was going with them. They'd play a little better. Nope. Still garbage. Except for Seth Jones scoring a goal when he looked off Connor Bedard and said, I'll take care of this.
My big question was, and I wasn't there at the Utah game, you were. It seems like there were some interesting calls made during that game.
Again, I don't play that game. Rarely will you see me come up and go, I had a big problem with it. You had Connor rubbed against the boards.
There was a Vlasic one that I was confused on.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, there was the Vlasic one. It looked like he got him upstairs, so that's the way it looked like to me. I complete the Murphy one. I thought was nuts. That was after the Bedard hit. Murph just grabs him for a time. Nothing to signify roughing. He came over and just said, "Hey, you can't be doing that." That should have been let go. Either way, it was 93 shots on goal. I mean, we've gotten to the point with this team that the only way to win is a goaltender must stand on his head. That's step one. This team doesn't win unless they're playing out of their minds. Seth's comments were completely right on. The amount of times that these guys were all skating into each other instead of dumping the puck in and going and getting the puck. But if that's not practiced, if you're not told this is what we want you doing, shift in, shift out, we're going to gear up so the second man will always be dumping. I need my other two forwards with speed going to the puck. None of that's coached. I don't have a problem with the players when there is no guidance. And I don't believe there's any guidance. There's no guidance. There's no respect. So it's not going to get better. We're going to have some games where I think it'll be an easy start and things might be okay. Those will be few and far between. As far as all the other noise there, I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that's like for a Connor Bedard. To see that kind of dysfunction. Your captain has almost become invincible also.
Captain's useless. And I've been tooting that horn for a while.
So there's just so many broken pieces. Yes.
Also, like, I know a lot of people have problems with Seth Jones said because they just have a lot of problems with Seth Jones in general. But when have you ever seen Nick Foligno in front of the media actually being honest about performance? And not just telling me to hang on to hope because, it's harder for us. The guys
we understand that we've got
dollars than for you, the fans who paid to watch this shit show.
Well, we know we've got to play better. We've got to come together and I do my crazy eye a couple times, and
like
people
you're complaining that Steph is wearing the A when I've never seen that level of honesty from the captain at all.
Again, it's at the end of the day, it's not just them. This is a top to bottom issue.
Yes, but we've been saying that it's a top to bottom issue since Kyle Davidson was hired.
Right. And Kyle Davidson needs to make up his mind. Tell the fan base it's 3 more years. Or you start talking about this group as a team. And what I don't need to hear about people coming up. I don't need to hear about the future. I want to hear about this team. Okay? And are they a team? If he continues to address things like he has in the past, I will know the dysfunction continues. Okay? So they need to start coming together. Somebody wrote somewhere culture. And it was a topic I wanted to bring up to you for a second. What is their culture? Hockey Princess, what do you think their culture is?
There isn't any.
It's hard to put a name on it. If I were to ask any Blackhawk fan, take away your Seth Jones hate. What's their culture? I would think people would come with do enough to get by. That's the culture. Do enough to get by. And that's what you see out of this team. Do enough to get by. Nobody skates the extra length to make the right pass and take a hit.
Except for number 8.
Occasionally number 8, who does it then more than most.
Throw him under the bus.
But nobody does that. And again, you've been told you're not wanted here. Why would you go the extra stride to be leveled? For what? Somebody who doesn't want you here or says, oh, you're just part of things until I get my glory later. I'm going to get my glory later. Not with you. These are hockey players. They're a frigging different breed. If you find somebody who's got them puts them in the mentality that they're all pulling on the same rope, and if they all pull on it the right way, good things can happen. They actually in hockey can. Look at your Las Vegas Golden Knights their first year. They had the whole misfits thing, but that wasn't an incredible team. They went to the Cup. Look at your Washington Capitals now. Is that an incredible team? Look up and down the lineup. No. But they are all pulling on the same rope. They all feel like they can be beaten, and they have this. And until I start to get this from management, you can't expect the rest of it to organically grow. No, there is no organically growing. They need something. They need some sunlight. They need some rain. Okay? They're not in a bubble. Nothing grows organically, you moron. That's a made-up word. Okay? Because even your food that you get, it's been rained on, so it's not organic. So I don't know. I hope Katie gets it together. I hope. Sorry about that.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. When I go, I go. So for your fan base, for our fan base, number one, keep the faith. I'm sure after this show, you're really going to be able to keep the faith. There'll still be some good games. We'll do some shows about who's the next coaches. Everybody else has already gone on to that. They've already spun up the Seth Jones stuff, and now have all of a sudden, after we've been telling them for a while that it's a wasted year, have figured out it's a wasted year. Let's talk about next year's coach. And again, I don't have a problem with them being 2 weeks behind us. I don't. I think it's fine. So we can talk about that a little bit. Either way, I mean, the Utah game was, number one, don't ever go there to watch a game. It's built for basketball, so the sight lines are bloody awful. It's got that nice feel of you're on top of the game, but the sight lines are meant for a basketball court, not a hockey rink, so you lose the edges and everything. And their fan bases, they're struggling. They're starting to get it. It'll be a long road for them. I'll be in Vegas. That'll be a lot more entertaining no matter what, because Vegas does it upright. The last 3 games, if we're still talking, it's hard to find anything that works. I mean, the Pickle is going through his struggles. This is what happens on this league when you're asked to do more and people have tape on you and they decide how they're going to attack.
Well then, since we've gone through the negative train on this team, let's just jump to a different league then to wrap up the end of this episode.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Because guys, I went to my first PWHL game this weekend. And I don't know how I'm supposed to go back to the NHL because, good God, the PWHL is significantly more entertaining and such a more welcoming environment than most NHL games. I was able to see the Minnesota Frost play the Toronto Scepters. I was very upset that I didn't get to see Sarah Nurse. She's still on the injured reserve for Toronto Scepters. But I did get to see my favorite person on the Chicago Blackhawks payroll, which is your Kendall Coyne for Minnesota Frost. It was amazing. Yes.
How is she playing for the Frost?
What do you mean?
I've got down that she's part of our development group.
I don't care. She's playing for the Frost, and as long as I get to watch Kendall Coyne play hockey, that's all that matters.
I hear ya. I hear ya.
And I guarantee Kendall Coyne probably does more in her pinky while playing for the Minnesota Frost than Brian Campbell does on a good day. So it was a fantastic.
Might not be wrong there either.
I'm not wrong. It was fantastic. There were sing-alongs. And the hockey playing was elite. Yeah, Crusty, you would have hated it.
Crusty does not like the sing-alongs.
There were sing-alongs.
Crusty is old and crusty.
There were cowboy hats. We were surrounded by tiny tot girls who played a hockey tourney that morning and then drove in to go watch the Minnesota Frost play. I teared up a little bit at the beginning of the game. And the hockey playing was a high-quality 60-minute game. It wasn't, you didn't notice a distinct difference of like, oh, this is, women's league. It was fast. It was great. It was a good, solid game on both ends. It wasn't a blowout. Minnesota did lose. Toronto won 2-1, but it was a high-intensity game until the end. And I loved it. And I'm so upset at Danny Wirtz and Jimmy Faulkner because I know they're the reason that I'm not going to get a PWHL team here. And that sucks. Because seeing so many, there were different people there, but seeing so many women watching hockey and being so passionate about it and knowing that I'm probably not going to get it at home definitely sucked. But it was a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and again, it's a good game. I will close with, you're talking about the style of play, the little tiny tots coming to watch. A lot was made over the Four Nations. A lot of this where we were waving flags, and it was the greatest thing these people had ever seen. You ain't seen nothing. Go watch a Canada-USA women's game. If you want to see that if you're talking actually country love, nothing's more finer. They frigging hate each other. And that's on both sides. So for those who thought that this all of a sudden just came out of somewhere, it didn't. We've already told you it's at the World Juniors every year, and it's every year the women's teams get together. And they usually play a 5-game series, and it is dynamite. So, I got no problems with the woman game whatsoever. Anytime you can get the tiny tots involved and keep them growing the game, I am for.
It was fantastic. I would really like to see other ones, but if I have to go back up to Minnesota for another one, I'm totally down for that. Crusty, you got anything else for this week?
No, I don't think so. Keep the faith. I know the way I talk at times doesn't help. Sorry. This one just kind of had to come out after the performance last night. So.
Great. And on that note, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you're going to
keep sending your hate. Keep sending your hate. I take in the hate and I exhale love.
And if you are going to a game this season, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. The bathrooms will still be there. The beer will still be there. And the bad food will still be there. If you want good food, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden, just 2 blocks from the United Center. Everyone's lovely. The food is great. Highly recommend. That is all, and we will talk at you guys next week.